Yeah. Kick us off.
Okay. Hey, I'm an addict. My name is Wanda.
Hey, Wanda.
Welcome to GRCNA 40, Lost Dreams Awaken, and to our workshop, Marriage in Recovery. Since GRCNA 40 is the Georgia region's first hybrid convention, allow me to address the issue of anonymity for those joining us online. When joining a virtual meeting, you will need to keep your video turned off to guarantee your anonymity. If you turn your video on, you are choosing to be seen by other participants. You can also change your name or switch to the first name plus last initial to protect your identity. Let's open with a moment of silence followed by a serenity prayer. Prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Welcome to the Georgia Regional First Hybrid Convention, GRCNA 40, Lost Dreams Awaken. Our intention for this convention is to make available to our fellowship a weekend of recovery, celebration, and fun. We hope that all addicts receive the NA message of recovery while they are participating in this event. It is our hope that the message we carry may truly let everyone know that NA is a place to recover and that no addict seeking recovery need to die from an addiction. These are the workshop participant guidelines. If you're joining us virtually, please dress appropriately on camera. Please keep your microphone on mute unless you are asked to unmute by the host or co-host. If you have a question or need general assistance during the workshop, please contact the host or one of the co-hosts via direct message and chat. If there's time after our workshop speakers finish, you may have an opportunity to share your experience, strength, and hope on the workshop topic. If you would like to share virtually, please raise your virtual hand. Your virtual hand can be raised by going to the reactions icon on your computer or by going to the more section on your phone. If you would like to share here in person, please raise your hand. You will be asked to come up to the microphone and camera so those at home can hear and see you. The virtual host and co-host and I will attempt to maintain the queue correctly. Your kindness and patience will be greatly appreciated. Please limit your share to 3 to 4 minutes. I've asked for volunteers to do our readings. So first one is how it works.
Next question that. Right off the bat. An addict named Jeff.
Hey, Jeff.
Hey, Jeff.
If you want what we have to offer and are willing to make the effort to get it, then you're ready to take certain steps. These are the principles that made our recovery possible. 1, we admitted that we were powerless over our addiction, that our lives had become unmanageable. 2, we came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. 3, we made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood him. 4, we made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. 5, we admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. 6, we were entirely ready to have God remove all these defects of character. 7, we humbly asked him to remove our shortcomings. 8, we made a list of all persons we had harmed and became willing to make amends to them all. 9, we made direct amends to such people wherever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others. 10, we continued to take personal inventory, and when we were wrong, promptly admitted it. 11, we sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understood him, praying only for knowledge of his will for us and the power to carry that out. 12, having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, we tried to carry this message to addicts and to practice these principles in all of our affairs. This sounds like a big order, and we can't do it all at once. We didn't become addicted in one day, so remember, easy does it. There is one thing more than anything else that will defeat us in our recovery. This is an attitude of indifference or intolerance towards spiritual principles. 3 of these that are indispensable are honesty, open-mindedness, and willingness. With these, we are well on our way. We feel that our approach to the disease of addiction is completely realistic, for the therapeutic value of one addict helping another is without parallel. We feel that our way is practical, for one addict can best understand and help another addict. We believe that the sooner we face our problems within our society and everyday living, just that much faster do we become acceptable, responsible, and productive members of that society. The only way to keep from returning to active addiction is not to take that first drug. If you're like us, you know that 1 is too many and 1,000 is never enough. We put great emphasis on this, for we know that when we use drugs in any form or substitute one for another, we release our addiction all over again. Thinking of alcohol as different from other drugs has caused a great many addicts to relapse. Before we came to NA, many of us viewed alcohol separately, but we cannot afford to be confused about this. Alcohol is a drug. We are people with the disease of addiction must abstain from all drugs in order to recover.
Thank you so much. And the 12 traditions?
I'm Sierra, I'm an addict.
Hi, Sierra.
The 12 traditions of NA. We keep what we have only with vigilance, and just as freedom for the individual comes from the 12 steps, so freedom for the group springs from our traditions. As long as the ties that bind us together are stronger than those that would tear us apart, all will be well. 1, our common welfare should come first. Personal recovery depends on NA unity. 2, for our group purpose, there is but one ultimate authority, a loving God as he may express himself in our group conscience. Our leaders are but trusted servants, they do not govern. 3, the only requirement for membership is a desire to stop using. 4, each group should be autonomous except in matters affecting other groups or NA as a whole. 5, each group has but one primary purpose, to carry the message to the addict who still suffers. 6, an NA group ought never endorse, finance, or lend the NA name to any related facility or outside enterprise, lest problems of money, property, or prestige divert us from our primary purpose. 7, every NA group ought to be fully self-supporting, declining outside contributions. 8, Narcotics Anonymous should remain forever non-professional, but our service centers may employ special workers. 9, NA as such ought never be organized, but we may create service boards or committees directly responsible to those they serve. 10, Narcotics Anonymous has no opinion on outside issues, hence the NA name ought never be drawn into public controversy. 11, our public relations policy is based on attraction rather than promotion. We need always maintain personal anonymity at the level of press, radio, and films. 12, anonymity is the spiritual foundation of all of our traditions, ever reminding us to place principles before personalities.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So our first speaker will be Kim In.
Kim, I'm gonna.
Hey, Kim.
Thank the committee for asking me to do this. It's always an honor. It happens to be a topic that I have a lot of experience in. I got clean really young, was 16 when I got clean. I had 8 years recovery when I got married. And I was 24 years old. And have now been married for 31 years in recovery. So I was looking through some of our literature last night. I always like to start out with a quote from our literature. And I found this one in Living Clean, page 170. Our ideas about relationships are often based in anything but reality. We want to believe that relationships somehow happen on their own, that we can step into a relationship like it is a carnival ride and it will just take us. Just as we imagine the right combination of drugs would make everything all right. And I felt like that. I really totally identify with that on a long-term scale. And like my relationship is wonderful today. Like I come from, as a child, I went through divorce 3 times between my parents. And I didn't know what a healthy relationship looked like when I got here. And even though the time of my youth wasn't decades or anything, you know, I didn't find any healthy relationship there either. I had a few pinpoints. I had a grandmother. She was divorced and remarried, but I didn't know her in the first one. So I had a little bit of a sights on it with her, but I really just didn't know. You know, my parents, their communication was zero. They talk loud, and at the same time, we didn't, I wasn't taught to listen. These were things that crippled me in my early relationship with my husband. And he didn't actually have very good skills with that either. So learning that whole piece and learning how to listen has been game changing. Right? To you, and it started with you. It started with the people in the meetings, listening to the people in the meetings. Because I could listen to you better than I could listen to him, because my heart was caught up with him. I was thinking about like the different steps, like our early adventure, I'm gonna call it. So like we met in the rooms, and I had a couple years 2 years more than him. But we were friends first. Like, we kind of gravitated towards each other. There was like 4 or 5 of us that we didn't have a lot to do. We didn't have a lot to plan. We didn't have anybody to be accountable to. And we just kind of started hanging out on the weekends, but it was all recovery based hanging out, and we just bonded. And then his and my relationship grew, started to grow in a different light, So, and I had never experienced that before. I had never experienced going into a relationship with another man and having any kind of little bit of friendship before. So, it was always just straight in. And so we had gotten to know each other on a little bit of a friendship level before. I think that was pretty key in making it through those early years, because I will tell you, it was a struggle. Our early relationship was so hard. We were both so hard-headed, very little recovery under our belts. A lot of insecurity, and I'm gonna speak for myself on this, and that drove a lot of character defects around our relationship out of me. And I'm gonna tell you, when he gave me my 13-year medallion, was the first time he said, "This was a good year for us." And I cried. Because it was hard. We, tell people, women I sponsor, I'm like, you can do this my way, or you can do it an easier way. Work on yourself, work through those. I tell mine to get through 6 and 7. You can get through 6 and 7, you've really got established who you are and what motivates you. So you're in a much better place to be in an attractive relationship. But I didn't do it that way, so that's not my experience. I was thinking about, we had kids very, very quick into our marriage. We dated for several years before we got married, but I think we were married just a little over a year when I got pregnant with my first child, who was the boy. And that brought, we had been having fun, going to conventions, doing whatever we want, what any addict wants to do. And then all of a sudden we had this child. And it was like a ball and chain. And I couldn't do and run and do all the things that I wanted to do. I wanted to be the mother of my child too, don't get me wrong, but this was all new territory. And but my husband at the time was obsessive and compulsive in his exercise regime. So he was doing all this stuff to do all these triathlon. You got to do intensive stuff when you're doing this. And so I'm sitting here building resentments because he's in my eyes having fun, and I'm here, working. So, we went through that whole thing, and God bless him that he worked the steps over that, and then, it just, everything we've done, one of the things I think we've done greatly is not gotten too involved in each other's, not that I wasn't thinking what he needed to do, but I wasn't saying it. I was saying it to my sponsor, right? Or my girlfriends, but, and I'm sure it was probably the same on this side. So getting a level of work through the steps really you know, I've gone through them several times. He's gone through them several times. And each time that one of us goes through them, our relationship matures. And I wanted to talk about specifically 8 and 9. I'd gone through 8 and 9 a few times, but when it came to him and some of the ways I treated him and the character defects that came out at him, some rationally and some irrationally, I was just, you know, cool with just, you know, making amends by living it, you know? And I was living it. I was getting better through the step work and y'all sharing with me and me sharing with my sponsor. And so I had really gotten past a lot of the transgressions I felt like I had, you know, put on him in our marriage. But he had said something along the way that made me think, you know, he really wants something more than that. So the last time I went through the steps, you know, this was probably maybe 7 years ago when I did this one. I wrote the letter to him. Even though I wasn't doing these things anymore, I wrote the letter and I pulled it all out of me, what I could remember that I'd done. And I sat down with him and I shared with him the letter. And I had no idea what that was going to do for my relationship. But like, it still gives me chills right now. Like, it totally transformed. It took it up to such a higher level of my relationship. I guess I freed myself of some of it too, again, like just admitting it, you know, once again. But I think it did something for the two of us, for him also, because I just never imagined that I could have a relationship with him to the degree we do today. And ever since that piece, that 8th and 9th, that last 8th and 9th I did with him, I'm so grateful that I did that, and, you know, and that my sponsor led me through it. That's my sponsor. Having children, like, you know, well, so gaining compassion through 8 and 9, like that was huge for me with him and with y'all. Like, even I can't even tell you how that last 8th and 9th changed me. Like, learning to, it really took me to a place where I was not expecting you to be where I thought you needed to be. You could be where you were, and I could love you for where you were. I mean, I did not have that to the degree I have it now. At that 8th and 9th, oh, I love it. So having children, he says all this so much fun here. But we have, like, what we, you know, I guess this goes to expectations, right? Like, we had all these ideas of what kind of parents we were going to be, cool parents, and you know, they're little people. They're not like mine, right? They're little people that came out, but they're so individual and they like what they like, and just because it's not what you thought it was going to be, I have to learn to roll with it. He really had a hard time rolling with it. And so, like, we started dividing on this. Like, I was divided with my husband on how we were raising our children, right? And we had a lot of conflict through that. And you know, step work, hitting your head against the wall, lots of screaming matches, and silence and whatever, all the ugly. We made it through that. I will say my daughter therapy. So, at 27 now, but it's so hard, it's so hard. It's like, just another level of, it had been a long time since I used, but my addiction's always there, and, I did, the first time I made amends, or, just looking at all the stuff that I had created, done, using, that was one thing, but when you go through it again, and this is stuff I did clean, like, it made it harder. It made it harder for me to forgive myself for a lot of that. But the children, it took us a while to come around to teamwork. He traveled a lot. My husband traveled a lot when they were young. He'd be gone for lengthy time sometimes too. And so like when he would, I had my plan, and I had it all worked out, and then he'd come home and interject himself. And I get resentment, So I had to learn how to work through that, because did I want him? My sponsor would say, well, you've got a choice. You can figure it out, or you can get divorced. So like, no, I don't want the divorce. I think because I was a child that came through divorce so many times as a child, I was like hell bent, like that was my obsession, was to not go there. So I did. Sometimes it works out, the obsession for the good. So I don't know. It's been such a process, and like now, like I'm in my 50s, and my kids are grown and they've moved out. So we're back to us again, just he and I. So it's like we've come full circle, and we're kind of digging it. I'm not gonna lie. The kids, they've continued to go through spells. They've not had it so easy. They've made some bad choices along the way, and we've had to watch them. We had to, hang with my son going through some heavy, work stuff. He had to come sit in these rooms for a year. Then he chose not to. But he's okay. I mean, it's just all such a process of letting go. Such a process of letting go. At least that's where I find the peace. And I don't know. It's been a great ride. It's been, it has its times. It's a roller coaster for sure. Kind of like that, what I was reading in the beginning. It's a ride, but it's been worth it. And I have to thank also my out of my understanding and all of it, because I can't even can't even imagine the amount of prayer that has gone into it. And I am ever thankful to Narcotics Anonymous and the people who wrote the literature that right before me, but it was before me, and that we can ask whatever our higher power wants to be. My higher power has walked me through a lot of hardship through relationships, and we have gotten on the other side of it, and I'm a happy member of Narcotics Anonymous. Thanks.
Thanks, Kim. And our next speaker is Mary W.
Hi.
Hi, Mary.
Mary, I'm not it.
Hey, Mary.
Since Kim already told my story. I was sitting here listening to share, and I was like, wow, so I'm not unique. I like when I can be taught that I'm not unique. I don't know. So growing up, I grew up in very loud households, not happy either. A lot of yelling and screaming, a lot of separation. My mom was home all the time. My dad was away at work all the time. So not really much to look at. And then even my aunts and uncles, you know, even some of them are still married to this day, but it was just very loud. So I didn't really have a whole lot to look up to when I got older. So, and when I got older, my relationships were very codependent based. Like whatever I had to do for your attention, whatever I had to do for you to like me, that's what I did. And then when I came into recovery, that pattern followed me for a little bit. My first 60 days, I was like, it's just going to be a physical thing. And it became really sick really fast. And I was able to take guidance from my sponsor, and she asked me just to start working steps and get to know myself a little bit more before I got into another relationship. Then there's this meeting, and this man walked in with a fisherman hat. He's in the back of this room, y'all. And he shared some stuff, and I was like, "Who's that?" And I remember being there with my mom, and she was like, "Oh, that guy looked at your butt the whole time," and I'm like, "Score." So, but even then, I was still working on myself. I was still trying to, you know, I didn't mess with nobody. I actually, and this isn't far, I tell people that I didn't swing that way, so they'd leave me alone, so I could get some steps under my belt. But we couldn't keep away from each other. I would show up places he would be at. He would show up places he never came before, so I kind of knew why he was there. So we started dating, and it was different, because I couldn't wear any mask with him. I don't know, maybe it was some work that I did. So I was very honest and open with him. And, you know, I even tried to push him away for a little bit because I was like, ooh, I don't know if I'm ready for this. I don't know, this is like real stuff. Like I don't even know what this looks like. I don't even know what to do. You know, we both, I'm gonna be all over the place, y'all. I'm nervous. My hands are pouring sweat. So, okay. So like I've been married before, and I got married for the wrong reasons. I got married because I wanted to escape my family. I wanted to just break the ties. So, but I married my brother-in-law's best friend, so that didn't work out too well. And we moved 10 houses down, and I thought I had ran and got away, and they moved in with us. Marriage didn't last long. I was able to end the marriage. We are still friends today. His kids call me aunt, and my son calls him uncle. So, but back then I couldn't stay in something like that because I didn't want to be my parents. I didn't want to be the people that I had, you know, got to be around when I was growing up. I just didn't think that was okay. So, but my addiction took off pretty bad after that. So when I got clean, the same patterns, like I said, and then I meet this man, and I think it was instant for me. I mean, I know it was instant for him. Oh, sorry. But so like mine and my husband's this is both our first relationship clean. This is both, he didn't really, he was a bachelor for a long time. He didn't want that either. So I remember meeting him and saying, this ain't a hookup. If it is, you know, this is not gonna work. So, but our story goes pretty fast at the beginning. So we started dating August. I met his kids, our kids now, his kids in October. One Sunday afternoon, Sunday night, I took a pregnancy test. So I also made decisions growing up in high school and in my younger years that almost made it impossible for me to have kids. I didn't want to raise I didn't want to raise a kid like my parents did. So I made decisions and thought those were a permanent decision. So I remember sitting with my husband outside and telling him I couldn't. It's impossible. Lo and behold, your body heals, and as his sponsor says, the older you get, the more potent it gets. So pregnant, I have under a year clean. And I'm with my family, and I have a very extremely codependent relationship with them, but I was not comfortable living with him at that point because we didn't even know each other. We knew each other, but we really didn't know each other. And then he got custody of our oldest. So we had her and me living outside the house. So it was hard because like I come in pregnant, you went through his addiction. So like the feelings and stuff, our relationship hasn't always been the greatest. And it's not really great now, but that doesn't mean I don't love her any less. But anyways, so we were not planning to live with each other. I was gonna raise our son and, he was gonna come by whenever, because I was just scared. I was scared. I didn't want to be my parents. I didn't want to go into something without being really sure. But it was hard. So our son came and I had to spend a week in the hospital and he never left my side. And I'm an emotional person now, so tears are gonna come anyway. But we went home and he went home and I couldn't do it. Like I didn't want him away from our child. This was our big chance with this little boy. So we moved in together and man, that was difficult. We didn't know each other. We had our oldest living there, a newborn and a damn puppy. And I was a stay-at-home mom. He owns his own business. He would go to meetings. I would take the kid to meetings. He would work. I would be home all the time, and I got a lot of resentments. Sometimes I still to this day, but like I'm working on it. Stuff. Oh wow, this is emotional. So kids and not trying to work each other's program. Like I put Lonnie, oops, I busted his name out. That's all right. Y'all know me, it's put him on this pedestal because I thought that he had more time than me, like he could do no wrong. He had this all figured out, and we both did it. But I put him up, and I had these expectations of him. I don't have them. I don't really have expectations of anyone else except for the men sitting in the back of the room. I work on that on a daily basis as well. It's not easy dating, being with somebody, living with somebody in recovery because you have to find balance. He needs his meetings. I need my meetings. He needs to meet with his sponsor. I need to meet with my sponsor. I don't need to meet with his sponsor, and thank God he doesn't want to meet with mine. There have been times in our recovery where I've called his sponsor, and I don't feel bad about that. And there's been times in mine when he's called mine. But I guess I'm just gonna like I'm emotional because we have a beautiful 8-year-old child that's been in and out of hospitals. He's on medication and he's in a lot of therapy. Out of our control. We do the best we can, and coming from broken families and trying to do this together has not always been easy. It can be very difficult. We don't have a whole lot of experience about kind and loving. We both grew up in abusive homes. We don't really have a whole lot to look back on and look up to. So he's old school. I'm not old school. Now we're both on the same page today, but it hasn't always been that way. And most of our conflict is around our son. And what we think is right and what we don't think is right, what we think is acceptable and what we don't think is acceptable. And this time last year, there was a moment where I probably wouldn't be sitting at this table talking about that. I remember walking through the neighborhood and telling my fuck what you do anymore. It was hard. You know, I had a lot of resentments and anger, and I felt like I was doing it all on my own. Not his fault. He had to work so I could stay home. Like, I get to stay home, and he sacrifices for me, so I guess. But we both did some changing. We both got some outside help. If you think you can't get outside help, it's wrong. It's okay. We're not all perfect. If it's something you really want, then I think you'll go to any means, just like we did when we were using. Yesterday we got a call from the school. Our son had asked for a knife to take his life. So luckily for us, we have done a lot of work and gotten him a lot of help and have a plan set in place that we got to take him home yesterday. There was a time where they would not let us take him home and they would take him. So he's 8, and at 5, he threatened to end his life. So it's been a lot. But yesterday, seeing both of our growth in that moment, we showed up. I normally don't let him talk to the teachers. I normally don't even take him to the school. He came in, he handled the teachers. I walked in and my son was in a ball, half naked on the floor. And we were able to get him calmed down enough to leave school. And we were able to go home and get a plan in motion. And my family, he called my family, they showed up and we picked him up and we talked about his plan. He's safe, he's okay. We got appointments set up, but there was no arguing yesterday. Nothing. I'm gonna argue. We didn't yell, we didn't scream. It's not his fault, it's not my fault. So my sponsor yesterday that if I didn't know why my higher power gave me the life I have, I know now. Our son's never seen us using. I hope to God he never does. He thinks when we argue, we raise our voices. So I grew up in conflict. So that's how I think I need to deal with things with him, is through conflict. He does not like conflict at all. And he will barely raise his voice. He'll walk away and I get so mad. I get to walk away. Or we're talking and I'm telling him how I feel and he's quiet. I was like, you got nothing to say? Can I take it all in? You got to say something. I don't know, but yesterday was pretty awesome. The plan was not to come yesterday, but because we have a plan in place and because the people that know us the most, his own therapist said that we needed to come here and get fed, and he needed to go for the kids. So, yeah, so our son he's a hot mess. I love him to death. I love seeing both our personalities in him. He's a smart kid. So, but that's been us the whole time. Is we meet, bam, kid, and then there was the whole marriage thing, and I was like, I'm not getting married. I'm not getting married at all. And then I said, maybe I want to get married. Maybe I want to try this. So it was so many years ago around this time, he was going to propose to me at GRCNA. Our son had other plans. He found the box with the ring in it and pulled it out in front of us. And I remember Puss in Boots was playing on the TV and I turned around the corner and I was like, gonna marry me? And I'm like, sure. So, I know I'm all over the place. I'm an emotional. I keep checking my phone. I know he's good. I fear when he gets older, you know, I don't want him to be like me. I don't want him to have those thoughts, you know. But we grow him up in the rooms. He only knows people in recovery. My family, they don't, you know, my family doesn't use. And if they do, we don't know about it right at this moment. I come from a long line of addicts, so does my husband, so there's that. But if I stay focused on tomorrow, I'm really shitting on the day. So I'm learning how to just take it day by day. That whole roller coaster. It's up and down, but I'm grateful that I don't work his program, he doesn't work mine. He knows me in a way nobody but my sponsor does. And sometimes that's good and sometimes it's bad because I can't hide what's wrong. I can't hide where I'm at. So I don't know. I feel like an emotional ball. I feel like God's telling me to shut up. So thanks for letting me share. Sorry.
Thanks, Mary. So now there's time. If you'd like to share, raise your hand, either online or, yes, come on up. You got to come up. Come to the microphone.
You gotta come speak.
This one, Danny.
My name's Danny and I'm an addict.
Hey, Danny.
And so I'm grateful that I get to come to GRCNA and be around people that are like me. Both of you ladies have told my story. Getting away from my family, marrying young, coming from abusive relationships, you know, all of that. And so, and I had sworn when I got out of a 21-year marriage that was extremely abusive, that I would never get married again, right? And so when I came into recovery, you know, the body wakes up. When you put down the dope, the body wakes up, right? And I would not listen to what people said to me because I'm stubborn. And so I got into a relationship and it was a bad relationship, you know. What did I have, 6 months clean? I was preyed on and I didn't realize what was happening, but I stayed in it because the abuse was something that I was comfortable with. And I wasn't working any step work. For the first year, it was like, okay, let's just get off of the dope. Let's worry about getting into meetings and stuff like that and trying to find ourselves. Then I started to work on myself. And as I was working on myself, I was in this relationship and I broke it off and I went back and I broke it off and I went back, you know. And the people that were with me, my sponsor, my network of wonderful women and men, you know, they supported me through all of that. And so I'm really happy to say now that I took the suggestion of my sponsor, and I now know after listening to her story, that she guided me through her experience. And I was open-minded and willing, and I took her suggestion and I called this guy. And I said, hey man, I want to be friends with you. I had no intention of getting into a relationship, people. And we dated for like 6 months and it was crazy because we had met at GRCNA when it was in Atlanta by the airport. And he was on the CPP and I was sitting there talking to him, and this person who is my grand sponsor told me that sparks were flying and I had no idea what she was talking about. We were just having a conversation. Fast forward, this is the guy that I was told to call by my sponsor to see if I could be in a healthy relationship with a man that wasn't based on sex, because sex was always the front of everything, because I had to get that validation that I was worthy, that I was, you know, loved, that I was good enough. And that didn't happen with this guy. And I was like, hold on a second, what's happening right now? Because I was being fed knowledge. And so, you know, I got married to that man last year. And we were together, we just celebrated, you know, Earth Day is like our day. And we just celebrated 5 years together, you know, and we've only been married since October. So I think that that's a wonderful story that I'm able to sit up here and tell, because you ladies have just touched my spirit, you know, and it makes me want to do more work on myself because I want to give to this relationship what I've never been able to give to any other one and receive what's being given to me. I didn't know why he wanted to hold my hand in public. What are you talking about? Hold my hand. Because I had never had that type of affection, you know, and to me, that's like the biggest thing is the intimacy. Intimacy doesn't mean sex. And I always thought that those words were, you know, coexisting or whatever. So, oh my gosh, I'm so glad that I got to participate in this workshop and that you ladies were the ones that were speaking today, because if it wasn't for you, I don't feel like I would have the courage to come up here and tell you how grateful I am that I am in Narcotics Anonymous, that I am in recovery, and that I am willing to work on myself. I have been sitting on a 4-step for a really long time, and my higher power is just like, girl, you need to get the pen to paper. You know, no matter what is in front of you, you need to put that work in and get that stuff done so you can learn how to be a better person in this relationship. Y'all, I am so grateful for the life that I have today. When I first came in, I would have never imagined that I would be blessed the way that I am and that I would have so much peace. So I just want to thank you, ladies. Thank you very much. That's all I got.
Thanks.
Hey y'all, I'm an addict named Mary Ellen. Thank you, ladies. I love y'all. Kim, you know how much I love you. Yeah, I remember with the kids stuff, we talked about that, and I don't have a child that's, but she was sick physically, so I spent a lot of years in the hospital, so I know. So I've been married for 40-something years, but my husband's not one of us, and because of NA and the God of my understanding, my higher power is God, and these last, like I got here in 2008 and I relapsed, and then I tried to kill myself because, you know how you stop doing what we do and then you're miserable. And so I lived because God had other plans for me. And so here I am, but I worked a vigilant program after that. Like I joined the No Matter What club. I lost because my reservations was my mom, my dad, my child, because she was so sick. It's always a possibility I could lose her. And so I lost my dad, I lost my mom, and guess what? I'm still here, no matter what. Like, even, I know this sounds crazy, but even if I lost my child, I would not use this. That would just be selfish. My family needs me, to get through these times. And my marriage is, I don't have quantity, but I have quality. And these last 7 years of marriage, we are a team, like because my husband traveled all the time. He was never home. So it was great for me because I was using and, I was busy doing my own thing. But when he came home, it was like, he's in my way. It's like, you need to leave, because he was gone a good 2-3 weeks at a time. So, it's like, you got no say in the way I raise my kids. I have 2 kids, a boy and a girl. My son is one of us, but he's not in recovery, but he's, what do we say? He's a functioning addict. So that's cool. He takes care of his family, and that's all I can ask for. He really does. He's got 3 kids. And I just want to say thanks to NA. Thanks for y'all. This is my first time out 2.5 years because of the underlying issues my whole family has. So between my husband and a lot of stuff going on. Hey. It's fun to see out there. But anyway, I'm just grateful, man. I'm grateful. Thanks.
Need a man's perspective.
Dan, right?
Dan Addict, that's right.
Hey, Dan.
Hey, y'all. Wow. I've been married 32 years. And, I met my wife when I went to GRCNA down in Panama. I'm not GRCNA, but Fun in the Sun. Back about the same time she met Jimmy. And wow, next thing you know, we've got 3 kids. I'm not going to meetings. I'm not doing what I'm supposed to do. And I relapse. And then I start using again. And, you know, it becomes, I don't know how we stayed together all these years. Because, you know, I started racking up DUIs and I got 11, by the way. And she had to drive me everywhere, and it was just a mess. Our family, it really was. And then my kids become teenagers. Oh, it was just horrible. Now everybody's using. Everybody in the house is using. You know, they get mad at me because I'm the only one that says I got a problem. Nobody else said they had a problem. I said, everybody knew I had a problem. You know, so, you know, everybody in my house started using, and they were using all the time. And I always felt like you know, it was hard to stay clean. You know, I'd go get maybe 4 or 5 months, and nobody gave a damn if I went to meetings or not. Actually, I think they liked it when I used, because it got the focus off of them and on to me. That's what happened. And I don't know, I guess the bottom finally fell out about 13 years ago, 12 years ago. And, you know, I decided I wanted to get clean again. And my wife was mad. I don't know how many times she's left me. I mean, dozens, that she grabbed everything and left. And, you know, this time was no different, except she came back, and I think I was 30 days clean when she came back and told me to sign the divorce papers. And that crushed me. Here I was 30 days clean, and she on my front porch. I kind of knew they were coming, because I couldn't understand why anybody would want to stay married to somebody like me. You know, I was so disappointed. You know, I could get time. I could get 6, 9 months, a year, and then I'd use again. See, I was one of those binge guys. I'd go out and I'd go disappearing for like 4 or 5 days. Everybody knew. You know, it was so dysfunctional in the family. I mean, I think if they had Dog-a-non, I'd get my dogs, and everybody needed help. Everybody did. And so, but what I did was, when I came in this last time, I was so desperate. And I really identify with the beautiful gift of desperation. That was me. I was so desperate that I was like, well, maybe it's supposed to be. Maybe we're not supposed to be together. Oh, yeah. And when she made me sign the divorce papers, it was our 20th wedding anniversary. Our 20th. This woman was pissed, y'all. She was pissed. She had enough with me. She'd had enough. And it did crush me. But I said, I was like you, no matter what, I'm not going to use. Maybe this is what I got to go through to get clean. You know, some of us have to go through some stuff to get clean. It ain't always rainbows and unicorns, man. And I just figured that's what I got to do, you know. So I made, you know, I didn't even have a driver's license, and I made meetings every day. I was that desperate. I got high every day. I figured out how to get high, and I just focused. And then my son came and lived with me, and he got clean. And we just became, me and him, over like 6 months. And, you know, all of a sudden, then my wife started showing back up. She started coming around, you know, it was her house too. And she said, you're going to have to sell the house, but I want the bed. Can you help me get the bed? I'm like, yeah, sure. You know, I couldn't blame her for divorcing me. I mean, good God. And it was kind of wild. Things started happening in recovery. I really, you know, you get this thing called hope. And I got some hope. And that made everything better. All you need is a little bit of hope. And I think she saw that. And she started coming back around and hanging out. And then she says, what if we date again? I'm like, yeah, okay. We start dating. Why not? You know, and next thing you know, she decided, can I come back home? I'm gonna come back home. And I said, well, wait a minute, me and Stu have a say-so in this. I gotta check with Stu. I said, me and Stu are a team and we've been doing great together. Really, I don't want to screw it up. You know, I'm on a roll here now. I'm coming up on a year or something. So I'm on a roll, man. I'm working steps. I'm doing everything right this time. And I don't know if you come back into my life again, if it's going to screw up. Maybe we're toxic, you know. And I call my sponsor. That's what you're supposed to do, right? And he says, he was like, by all means, man, it's half her stuff there. She can come to live there if she wants to. And I said, yeah. And so she did. And we started doing stuff again. And she got involved in Narcotics. She got real involved in Narcotics. And all I can tell you is when you get on that journey where you're on the same path, there's different types of, for me, there's different types of levels of acquaintance, like there's people that I like to watch football with, right? And then there's people that like, I'm an electrician that know electrical. That's a little higher. And I think the highest is where you have the same kind of aspiration spiritually. And that's what happened to us. Because there was times in recovery even, I wasn't sure if I wanted to stay married to her until she finally got and started working those steps. And then she told me, oh yeah, I didn't turn the divorce papers in.
Oh, wow.
So I was like, we're not divorced? Tell everybody, I tell her, I say, she's married, I'm not. Because in my mind, we were divorced. And I'm just like you, Kim. The kids moved out. Oh yeah, by the way, a miracle happened. The greatest miracle of all, which makes me the luckiest guy in recovery. All those kids, they're all clean today. They will all be here. It was kind of cool to go up to the registration desk and they said, which Harper are you? And it was the spark of recovery. And then they married really cool people that we like being around. And it's just, how lucky can a screw up like me get, And then, like you said, when the kids moved away, man, it becomes really good. Yeah. You're at home. I mean, something happens to that relationship. I think it gets deeper. For me, it did. And I become just grateful. It's so much better than all that stress and all that stuff, man. It really is. And I am so grateful for my wife. She is well, a lot of times it's the reason why I get up and I do things a lot of days. It's because of the love I have for my wife. And we went through it though, but we made it on the other side. And it was only because of these rooms right here. And I have my kids are clean. And, I never miss greatness. I love them. I love seeing my friends. And just glad I'm here. Glad I'm here.
Thank you. Just the other side.
My name's Lonnie. I'm an addict.
Let's get your point of view.
Two sides and then the truth, right? I'm grateful that we did make it. So my third sponsor taught me how to cry, how to feel. And when both of y'all were sharing, I was back there feeling. And I just want to say a little story. When I got the news that we were pregnant, I went to a friend of mine that had time, and I he had to change my perspective because I was freaking out. Because my other two are grown. They're about to get out and get busy. So, you know, that wasn't my master plan. And, you know, he changed my perspective. He was married in recovery and he had kids when he was in his late 40s, almost 50. And, you know, I'm 52 now and, right? Yeah. I'm 51. I got memories of shit. I'm sorry. But anyway, he changed my perspective because with my other two, I was gone. I was not present. And I was there, but I wasn't there. And you know, with little man, I get to do things and be present for those things that I wasn't before. And Kevin telling me that changed my whole perspective. Because it was all about me. And, you know, just that little bit of knowledge got me moving in that direction. And, you know, I love that guy. I wish things could be a little different on family, how we get along, but you know, it is what it is. And one of the biggest things I had to do for my family, our family, is set boundaries with my other family. And that's been a struggle. Because I got two siblings that use. I got a mom that's in a boarding house because I can't afford to put her anywhere. And we tried having her live with us and we found medication on the floor. So we have him, we have to protect him. And, you know, if you're in that situation, you got to learn to set boundaries. And that was one of the hardest things for me, is to set boundaries, healthy ones. Because my family liked to flip the script, you know, this is a cult, you're better than. I'm not better than, I just want a better life. And thanks for letting me share.
Come on up.
My name is Bruce, I'm an addict. And, I'm not really, I tell my guys I sponsor.
Bruce, the microphone's right
Oh,
here.
I tell the guys that I sponsor, relationship is not my specialty. You know, what I usually tell them is that if you're lucky enough to have somebody to put up with you when you come into recovery, just leave her alone, okay? And work on your recovery, you know, and work on yourself. You know, and I get a, yeah, but you don't know, yeah, leave her alone, okay? And get counseling, you know, because you're coming out of it, okay? What you're seeing in the beginning may not be, you know, what it really is, you know, because it takes time to come out of it. I was married at one point. Unfortunately for me, I just celebrated 35 years clean. I'm just bringing up to tell the story. I had 5 years before this 35, and I was married to 5 years. And she didn't want to go get help, or to her it was, that's your problem. Okay, and I could see it because I'm the one who brought the trouble into the marriage. Okay, I didn't, at that time, I really didn't know how to treat anybody. I didn't even know how to treat myself, but the point that I'm trying to make is that my situation was that even though I knew I caused all the trouble, I knew what the solution was. The solution to get the thing was to get on a spiritual way of life, and it takes two to get on a spiritual way. You got to have cooperation, and I relapsed. And after I relapsed, I You know, you're fighting for your life then, now, okay? You're fighting for your life now. Certain things gotta go, certain relationships gotta go, certain people, places, and that's how it's been my experience. There's always something you have to let go of before you get permanent sobriety, permanent clean time. You know, and I just, you know, that was it. I knew somebody talked about toxic. I couldn't fix, what I'm trying to say is that I realized I couldn't fix this. Okay, just because I was in recovery, I can't fix this. Okay, and I kept moving, but and I had numerous relations. I had a great dating life. I'm 69 years old. I dated from 40 to 61, 60. I had a great dating life in clean time. Oh man, talk about fun. I mean, it was great. I had been engaged 3 times. Never went all the way, you know, for whatever reason. What I found out is that, you know, if you click with somebody, that's a gift that comes from God. It's really, I don't think it's anything the person, you know, it wouldn't be anything I've done. You know, I live a great life in recovery. But one thing I didn't get, and I got everything else, true love. I never got true love. I got relationships. Relationships don't mean true love. Okay, there is a difference. Okay, I never experienced that, you know, when does it bother me? Yeah, a little bit. You know, it bothers me a little bit. But you know, I got to look at myself. You know, did you stop going to strip clubs? Did you stop looking at pornography? Did you stop, you know, snooping around? You know, oh no, you didn't stop that, Bruce? What do you want? You know, you can't have your cake and eat it too. You know what I'm saying? There's things you got to give up. You got to give to get. Oh, you know, and you know, and so, but you know, I'm okay. You know, where I'm at with that. You know, that's a wish list for me. You know, and you know, I turn it over to my higher power, and he hears me. You know, he hears me. You know, what is he going to do about it? You know more than I do. I don't know what he's going to do about it, to tell you the truth. But I know this, he wants me to stay clean, and he wants me to carry the message, you know, and he wants me to live by the principles, you know, and he wants me to work with other addicts on a regular basis. You know, I ain't got no problem with that, you know. You know, when I look at myself, you know, and another thing, just because I've been clean I'm still sick. Okay. I still got issues going on. It's just that I don't use over them. Okay, so there's been a lot of trauma in my childhood and in my life that I won't get into. But what I'm trying to say is abstinence doesn't mean I'm well. I'm not really a well guy. Okay, I'm a guy that knows how to stay clean. You know what I'm saying? I'm not a well guy, to be honest with you. You know. But I believe in love. I know that, see, I've learned a couple of things. First of all, you got to have certain skills, I think I do. For one thing, you got to be tolerant. And you're going to know how to keep your mouth shut. And you're going to know how to listen. Okay? And when you're right, you got to know how to be wrong when you're right. You know, all that stuff takes skills. Those are skills. Okay, you just don't pop up and, you know, get them out and walk out of the meeting with that shit. You know what I'm saying? You know, you gotta really work and develop that stuff. You know, and the only reason why I know, because I listen to people. They tell me how they did it. You see, and that's why these conventions, you know. But what I tell my guys is this here. Look, man, you look. You want to know something about, you know, how to work a marriage and whatnot, go see a marriage counselor. Okay? Go with someone, at least a master's degree, preferably a doctorate, and been in business for over 5 years and been at the same location, not bouncing all around. Okay? You know what I'm saying? Because they're stable. That means they're stable. They've been, okay? You know, and just hear what they got to say about what their take is on this. See, we're clean now. We can get help from the outside today. There's a lot of knowledge out there. They know today what ends relationships. They know today what ends marriages. They know what the biggest problem among young people, senior citizen, they got all that information. There's a lot of information out there. You know, see, I sound good. I don't do it. You know, I sound good, but you know, But anyway, it's still a fantastic journey. This God that I found here, I worked, I retired, I bought homes, I moved around, I've been all over the country in these conventions. NA, I got a great life here in Narcotics Anonymous, and we're the luckiest people in the world. We can go anywhere. They got the European convention in Egypt this year, okay, in September. That's a fantastic thing. Maybe I won't get that, okay, but hey, you can't have everything, you can't have everything, hopefully maybe one day I will, but the thing is this, and I'll end with this. If I ever did get it, I just hope that I have the ability to appreciate what God has given me, okay? I never had that. I was a user and abuser my entire life, okay? And I wasn't a giver, I was a taker my entire life. So hopefully that if he does do that, then I'll be able to, appreciate it. Thank you.
Anyone else? Still got 20 minutes. Come on up.
My name's Hank, I'm an addict.
Hey, Hank.
I've been married coming up on 15 years. This is my third marriage. So.
Oh.
So, when I got here in 2010, I was married. And it was my second wife. And, when I'm ripping and running and doing what I do, and, I just really don't know how to do relationships. I really don't know how to share time and be respectful, and using just takes all of that. And I always had the right intention. And there's a place in our basic text that talks about relationships, and it's only in one area. It says relationships can be a terribly painful area. We tend to fantasize and have unrealistic expectations of others, and when those expectations aren't met, I build resentments and a fantasy, right? Like all of my relationships have been built I had these great sort of ideas of what I wanted it to be. However, none of my actions matched up, to make that be a reality. And, I got divorced. She divorced me when I had 2 years clean. And she was like, I didn't sign up for all this, because I got you get 2 years clean, you're on fire. Right? You know what I mean? If you get 2 years clean, you're in. Pretty much. It's nothing's guaranteed, but 2 years, man, and she was like, dude, I don't even know who you are. We met at the bar, you know what I'm saying? She's like, I've never seen this dude, who are you? And I remember being crushed and devastated when she served me with divorce papers, and I didn't blow my life up, and I didn't get in another relationship, and I didn't, run and just try to put stuff in to feel better. And 6 months after she served me divorce papers, she was like, can we get back together? I was like, hell no. I felt like the hostage was free. Do you know what I'm saying? And that's what most of my relationships were, a hostage situation. And so I did, and then relationships are hard, man. I got into a relationship with a girl. I had 3 years clean, and she had 9 years in another fellowship. And I was like, this girl is going to fix me. And she wasn't going to fix nobody. You know what I mean? And then I got into another relationship after that. And to make sure that relationship really wasn't going to work, we moved in together. Just to make sure. You know what I'm saying? And this is clean, dude. I'm clean. This is in recovery. I learned how to not use and how to serve and be a good home group member and work steps and all that stuff. But this is the living stuff, man, was really, really, this area has been a challenge for me, man. And the more I got into the step work, the more I understood who I was and who I am and how I operate in steps 6 and 7, right? And you talked about that. And she had read a passage out of the Living Clean book that talked about, we just think it's a carnival ride. We're just going to get on. It's just going to take us, and shit is going to be great. But it requires my participation, and it requires me to say, I'm sorry. It requires me to forgive. It requires all these things to be married, and I met this girl, and in recovery, I got custody of my kids, right? Which is an amazing thing. And so I have 4 kids. And in recovery, I was given the opportunity to step in for my kids. My sponsor said, how are you going to wait for those ladies to get well before you step in and take responsibility for your kids? And I was like, what an asshole. Damn, like I'm having fun. You know what I mean? Like, damn, what is he? You know, if I got to be honest, the self-centered part of me says, like, what's going to happen to this fun lifestyle with like the weight of these kids? You know, I love my kids, you know what I'm saying? But I never really was like I was there, but I wasn't there, you know? And I felt like, man, the room's right. I feel like my kids and I grew up together. I feel like that. And my kids are NA babies, man. And I met this girl, and she's not in recovery, and she doesn't need to be in recovery. And she was a member of a church that my sponsee was celebrating his 3rd year of recovery, and she was a church member where he went to church, which is also where our home group met. But several members of that church came to support him in his 3rd year of recovery. And the speaker didn't show up, so I ended up being the speaker last minute. So the first time my wife ever met me, she heard my story. And then they were like trying to hook us up, and I was like, I just got out of this dumpster fire of a relationship. Like, I know that ain't a thing, but like 2 years later, like we got reintroduced and came back around, and I started dating different. Like we didn't have sex in the beginning, and we didn't live together, and we got to know each other, and it was just different. Like I did it differently, right? And I got a choice in that. I don't think marriage just comes because like shit, like we're cool and we're compatible. Let's just, you know, it's like for me and my experience is like I got to do some shit different, man. You know, if I want something I never had before, I got to do some things I've never done before. And so I was very intentional on like doing shit different. And like we talked about this stuff, we communicated like this is how I feel, right? And we're coming up in June on our 5th year anniversary, and things are really good. And she brought 1 kid to the relationship. I brought 4 kids to the relationship. And when we blended, right, it was like, that's hard, man. We bought a house in a neutral territory, right in the middle ground, you know. I live 12 minutes from here. And we blended this family, and it has not been easy. It has not been easy. I got 4 teenage daughters. I'm not scared of anything, right? You see what I'm saying? But like, she is such like a nurturer, right? And it was like, God did bring us together, but I also bring some shit to the table that I have to consistently like work on and address and take responsibility for. And I learned all that in Narcotics Anonymous, right? And I learned all of that from like the people that have those types of relationships that are like in my network. And it's a beautiful thing, man. It's a really cool thing. So like, I tell you what jacks me up today. I tell you what jacks me up. Before I left the house today, I had one of my kids last night. She works at Jim and Nick's barbecue. There was like cheddar biscuits and shit on the countertop and crumbs and shit. I hate that shit, man. I shouldn't be able to tell like what you ate by what's on the counter. But that's how they roll. They don't care. But it jacks me up, dude. Shit like that. Like me getting high and blowing my life up, like going to prison, like that is not a part of my life today. But like the dishwasher not getting unloaded, it ruined my freaking day, man. That's my shit. That's my shit. That's like my controlling shit. That's like my like I gotta have everything in a fucking box at home. You know what I'm saying? And I can't like do that. You know, I've had to learn like when I get upset with my kids or my wife or shit ain't going my way, like if the way I'm approaching it is damaging the relationship, it's not worth it. You know, and like I can't just sit on it and like just try to modify my behavior when I haven't done any acceptance on the inside, because sooner or later that shit comes out sideways and it does damage. You know, and I'm not saying I'm like not perfect. I'm not perfect in that area, but I've gotten better in that area. And like I used to not think it was me. I used to think it was everybody else. And now today I can see that shit was my part, right? Unrealistic expectations. I tend to fantasize how shit's gonna be. But we've gotten really busy in the 5 years. We've like started a business together, and like it's been crazy. If she feels like we've been married 50 years, you know? And she fully supports me in my recovery. Wednesday nights, I'm at my home group. Like, she goes and hangs out with a friend. Like, that's part of my routine. I'm here. She's like, when will I see you again? I was like, Sunday morning. Like, I will go home and go to bed, right? But like, yeah, like I'm going to be here all weekend, and she fully supports me in my recovery. And, you know, it's a good thing, man. You know, and she didn't know about recovery before me. And like, I took her to the World Convention in 2018, and she was like, shit. You know what I'm saying? So she is, you know, it's a good thing, man. But I also have a part in like keeping it a good thing and a healthy thing. So that is my experience on marriage and recovery. Thank you.
Thank you. Come on.
I'm an addict. My name is Harvey.
Hey,
Yeah, I got to sit down. Marriage and recovery. Well, since I've been here, I got clean May the 20th of 2004. And since I've been here, I've been in several relationships. You know, y'all told me when I got here, don't get in no relationship for the first year. That was only a suggestion. Y'all didn't know what the hell y'all were talking about. So for the first, 10 years, I got in several different relationships. And like I said, relationships, it wasn't a relationship. It was sex ships and hostage ships. You know, and I got married February the 5th of 2020 and had it annulled February the 16th of 2020. And from that day forward, I stopped asking the God of my understanding to send me the right woman. I just stopped that shit. And I started asking him to make me the right man. Because if I become the right man, I will attract the right woman. And that's the way I've been living my life for the last 2 years, going on 3 years now. I live alone, I work a full-time job, and I have a recovery house for men. I have 10 different men in there with 10 different personalities and 10 different attitudes. But it helps my recovery to grow. And so I'm looking to get married one day, but just not today. If ain't nobody told you they love you, Harvey, love us all. Thanks for letting me share.
No one else wants to share? Okay. Well, I'd like to thank you, the speakers and everybody that participated. It says make any special announcement provided by the program. We don't have any up here, so okay. So let's circle up and close with the we version of Serenity Prayer.
you're adorable. She's adorable. What's your name? Diana, you're adorable. Kevin, like, all right. We can do our names.
Although silence for the addict still suffering in and outside of these rooms, followed by the we version. God, grant us serenity to accept things we cannot change, the courage to change things we can, and the wisdom to know the truth. You know, nice to meet you. Nice to meet you.